Hi, we're here. I hope you all can join in. We're going to honor Imbolc today. I'm going to invite a few people. I usually have a friend that helps me out on the back end with the webinars, but I kind of feel like this is more of a let's hang out in the living room and just talk about Imbolc and what that is. And I hope that some people can join in and ask questions. And somebody did write me already earlier today and had a question. So I will bring that up a little bit later. I'm just going to invite a few more people. See who all else wants to come. And yeah, okay. So we're live. Imbolc is one of, oh good, there's somebody watching. It's one of the solar holidays on the Wheel of the Year. So I have my handy book available and my other book right in front of me. Here it is. So the Wheel of the Year. And then we have postcards to illustrate this. So the inside circle are moons, the moon cycles for this year. The outside circle is what we're talking about today. So, Imbolc right here. Groundhog Day, February 1st is today. It's usually February 2nd. I think technically this year it's, well, somebody else was saying it's on the 4th this year, but in my research I found that it was on the 1st, but it's a season, so that's kind of the point. I'd like to start us off with a meditation. If you have some time to just sit still for a moment, we're going to grab construction paper and journals and stuff later, or you can go grab that now if you want. A cup of water. But I want to go ahead and get into it. So I just want to take a moment here to sit still. If you're sitting in a chair like me, put your feet on the ground, both feet flat, and hands can be on the knees. If you're sitting on the ground, great. Just find your tall spine. You can close your eyes here or soften the gaze and just go inward for a little bit. Take some deep breaths. Your palms can be down or up. Deep inhale. Slow exhale. And again, inhale. And exhale. Just checking in with yourself and whatever's gone on for you today, that anything that's coming up for you. See if you can push all of that kind of outside the edges of your field, outside the edges of your space right now. Deep breath again. Slow exhale. And I want you to intentionally connect to your spine, your physical spine, the vertebrae there, and your energetic spine, your hara line, your Sushumna Nadi, the stick straight spine of energy that connects to all of your chakras and feeds your energy body and connects you to the earth and the heavens. So we're going to go into that central channel and send that line down into the earth intentionally. We're always connected that way, but we're really going to bring our awareness, attention, and effort to sending that line down into the earth. Using your active imagination, connecting to the center of the Pachamama, of the Mother Earth. Taking some deep breaths. Continue to see that energy extended down, connecting to the center of the earth, and we're going to stay connected to the center of the earth like that as we draw back up into our physical body, into the hara line that we're connected to in our physical ways, and drawing up, up, up. And so we're going to go through the central channel up into the heavens and extending up into the center of the universe, your birth star, your creator, whatever you like to be connected to of the heavenly bodies, the higher realms, your origin, your source. So staying hooked into this planet that is our home while we're extending up into maybe where we have come from before and where we will go back to when we're finished here. Taking some deep breaths again. When you're ready, coming back down, back into the body, and this time coming right into the center space of your hara line. So around your solar plexus, which is a couple inches above your belly button, your your core area. It may be connected to your solar plexus, but it's also, there's another kind of area functioning there that just centers us into our body, connected into that hara line as well. So we're grounded to the earth, we're connected to the heavens, and centered in our body, in our home, this container, this vessel that we've been given to express ourselves, our spirits at this time. Staying connected to the earth, the heavens, and really connecting that energy into the center of your body, the altar energy of your essence. Deep breaths. And so from here, moving on into a more poignant meditation for Imbolc, we're going to be focused on seeds. And from this point at our belly, we're going to drop down a little bit into the sacral chakra, into the low belly. So you can continue to keep your eyes closed if you want. Maybe place your hands at your low belly and just feel that area. And so this area of creativity and fertility, many of us have maybe some tumultuous issues, some relationship issues with our sacral chakra, a lot of us women, especially in our bodies like that, but just connecting to the fact that we're in a body that is generative, as women, as men, that as women in women's bodies, we can contain life, we carry the water, we have the eggs. As men, that potential, you carry the seed of potential. And those who feel connected to both, just honoring whatever is there, that generative quality that exists in our sacral chakra, and not necessarily for creating life and another human being, but creating opportunities for yourself, for others, creating works of art or music or dance or poetry, the seat of primordial creation. So notice if there's anything that comes up for you that may be, excuse me, getting in the way of you connecting to this area. So if you're having a hard time really feeling into it, connecting to it, that's okay. Pay attention to what you are feeling. And if you're really feeling like, yes, I can get in there, I can get into that, you know, it might be kind of a dark space, that primordial kind of space. Very basic, but sense-based. Just kind of roll around in there and see what's there for you. And I know this is an area for a lot of people of trauma, past hurts, regrets, dense energy like that. You know, so if there's grief for you there, acknowledge it. If you're in a good space today, maybe allow it, sit with it. So as we go through this whole process of our time together, we're going to be doing some clearing and some creating. So I invite you to start that process now. You're already sitting in that place. And as an image too, we can go into the earth and experience the darkness that is the place that holds our seeds. So when we physically, literally plant the seeds, or the seeds go into the earth for our gardens, for our sustenance, you know, that darkness, that time that it takes for the generativeness to occur, for those seeds to start to bring that potential forward into life, into the life that we take that feeds our life. So it all starts in darkness. It all starts in the dirt, in that primordial place, the earth, the water, these basic elements, sometimes the fire to get the seeds activated. So just want you to sit in that space, in that sacral area, or with your imagination going into the earth and sitting in the dark as a seed, as a small bundle of potential that's not yet life. Just being in that place for a little bit. We'll spend another minute or so here exploring, taking the time to sit in this dark space of the earth as a seed, or in the depths of your sacral chakra, this place that has potential for life that isn't yet here. Allowing space for grief, allowing space for clearing, allowing messages to come through of that potential. So if you're just joining us, we're sitting connected to the earth, to the heavens, to our bodies, and going into the space of the sacral chakra, going into the space of the Mother Earth, the darkness that holds the potential for the seeds of life. Stay there a little longer if you like. When you're ready to come out, take some deep breaths. So we're going to continue to be connected to the earth, the heavens, and our bodies, but we're going to come out of that space, bring our hands maybe to our legs, to our feet if we're sitting on the ground, and just rubbing our legs for a moment, grounding back into our physical body if we tend to get ungrounded in those exercises, holding the shoulders, holding the elbows, anything you need to do like that to feel your physical body again. Drinking some water, highly recommend it. So we're going to take a moment to journal. If anything came up for you, or if you're not quite sure if anything came up for you, it can help to start just to write down some of the really basic stuff. So it could be just like it was dark. So I want you to put sacral exercise or meditation and just say whatever happened for you. And it can be, I don't know, I was in the dark, I didn't experience anything, or you might have noticed like one little twinge or an interesting idea that popped up when I said something around the primordial energy of that area, or the darkness of the earth and being that seed of potential there. Those are good prompts that you can take a moment and do a little bit of journaling about. So the primordial energy, of your sacral chakra. Of course, grief is a big thing there. If there were any grievances that came up for you that might want some attention. And the idea of being in the earth, being in the dark, being in that place where you're a seed, you're not yet expressing of the potential, but this little bit of big potential that can come through in just a few weeks or a season. So if you think about your plants, right, obviously going into the earth, you don't dig them up every day to see, did they sprout? Is it coming? You wait and you nurture it and you talk to it, maybe water it, or just give it time, right? You give it some heat if you're sprouting your seeds on your seed mat, just so you know that they're going to be okay. You can't just throw them out there and expect a big yield of that potential to get turn into a big life. So that's another thing we can think about. We're going to be talking about our potentials and the seeds and the things that we want to plant. We're going to be talking about clearing as well, what needs to be honored and released so that we can bring forward this potential, these seeds that we want to plant, and the patience that it takes, the environment that they need. So that might be something to also journal on as I talk at you. So you might write down at this time anything that needs honoring or clearing. And I understand that there's big stuff in that area, in that sacral area, that low belly. I get that. So I know it can take time, and a lot of those things maybe we don't want to acknowledge. And I honor that too. So if you're up for it, taking some time maybe to write about those things, or you may have a fire later to make some space to clear those things out. I'm going to show you another technique here in a little bit to clear your energy just on a day-to-day basis if you want. It's sort of like brushing your teeth. So that's one way you can bring those things up and just gently sit with them. Or if you're ready, you're like, okay, there's some stuff that I'm really, really ready to clear. You go for it. So anything that needs honoring or clearing. And this isn't something like if you have some big grievances and past relationships and things like that, events and issues from your past in that area, this isn't to say you have to do this now. it's just an opportunity if you want to start to give those things some space to breathe, to move. We're still in the dark time of the year, even though the light's coming back. So it's still a good time to do shadow work, but it can be tricky, of course, because the weather isn't great. You know, we can't get outside and air ourselves out. We can't easily meet up with people if it's frozen outside and there's snow everywhere. So, you know, we can be isolated, we can be depressed, we kind of miss the sun, the heat, and that kind of stuff. So it can be extra challenging if you're going to be trying to process some dark stuff, some heavy stuff, that you definitely want to have support if you're going to go into that stuff. But this might be a great time for you to do it. If you're like me, I really enjoy the dark. I feel like I can open up a little more and process those things internally a little easier when it's darker. When it's light out, I enjoy it. I run out, it's fun, but I can't go quite as deep. So I get some solar energy, and that helps me with my physical energy and like things like depression and anxiety, but I can't go quite as deep into my internal stuff, into my shadow work. So anyway, things that you're going to be honoring and clearing, and then the things that you want to plant. So anytime we're doing spirit work, energy work, that's it. It's always what do you need to let go, and what would you like to draw in? And there are times when we need to do a lot of letting go. And there are times when we can really focus on pulling an energy forward into our lives. So take a minute, write down what you want to honor and clear, write down what you'd like to draw into your life. Hopefully you've already been writing while I've been talking. So, moving on, feel free to continue to write. We're writing about things that we want to honor or clear, especially related to the area of the sacral chakra, or anything that comes up that is blocking us from planting our seeds. And then the second part is the seeds that we want to plant for the next 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months. So at this point, Imbolc, this period, it's on the calendar. It's a 6-week event, just like all the other ones. So Imbolc is here. Our next event is Ostara, and that's 6 weeks apart. But I'm feeling very much like Imbolc also, right, is connected to Lammas here. So the start, our first spring festival, spring event is Imbolc. This is what we're doing right now. And our first fall, our harvest event is Lammas. So they're right across from each other. And as you can see here, we have equinoxes next, other equinox, so spring, fall, solstice, summer, and winter up top. So these are our quarter holidays, the ones that cross up and down, and those that cross in between those crosses. So the ones in between the solstices and the equinoxes are cross-quarter holidays. So Imbolc is a cross-quarter holiday. So as you can see here, right? Solstice, equinox, quarter holidays. The other ones, Imbolc, Samhain, Lammas, and Beltane, are the cross-quarter holidays. The cross-quarter holidays we celebrate with fire. So doing the work of turning the wheel means engaging in the energy of that time. And so I'm going to go ahead and do kind of a lecture portion and talk to you about the themes that I've pulled forward on the e-course, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to pull up my information, and this is all the stuff, all the themes in the e-course that you can find, of course, at theflyingcat.net. So the main theme at this time that I felt really drawn to share with you all is blessing. So we're doing this work of clearing and drawing in. And as I talked about, when you're planting a seed, right, you have your seed mat, you've got nice soil that you've amended, you've got the water, you've hopefully eventually got the heat, so you're timing it properly. So if you start seeds too early, it's not going to work out. You start them too late, it's not going to work out. So there's this whole container that you need to think about, your environment that you're going to be planting your seeds in, not just the soil and the space, but the timing of things and the time of the year, right? The timing of how much water or not water, depending on the type of fruit that you're looking for the seed to yield. So not to get too in the mind about this stuff, but I want you to realize that when we're planting seeds, we're not just throwing them out into the field, which you can do, but if you're going to be relying on those things as our ancestors did, so this is why I follow the wheel of the year, is to be more connected to my ancestors and what they would have been doing. We're not so tied to that, of course. We can just go to the grocery store and get raspberries any time of the year, right? So we're pretty disconnected from the natural cycle of things. So just at least being aware of that fact and being aware of, go to your farmers markets and your CSAs and talk to those farmers and those people, and understanding what you see each week and what's coming through and what's local for you. So we've got strawberries here in the area, and you have to, if you want blueberries or other fruits, you have to really plan ahead and plant those things and wait for a couple years for those fruits to come about. We don't have a lot of fruit in this area. So around the equinox, or sorry, the equator, the physical location of the earth there at the middle of the planet, it's a little easier. You don't have to plan as much. Our ancestors, my ancestors in Europe, Northern Europe-ish, that kind of thing, you'd have to really consider how you're going to make it through the winter. And you'd have to work with other people, be in community, work the land, be connected to it. It would have been inevitable. It would have been, it's just what you do. So they would have been very attuned to all that, and they also would have had a lot of time in their day-to-day doing a lot of repetitive work to kind of have, the mental space to just be. We really don't have that. We're pretty much in the opposite kind of realm in that way. So we're constantly doing and pushing with our mental energy. They would have been pushing with their physical energy. So they would have had a lot of space mentally to consider things and pay attention and watch, the light and the cosmos and the elements, and understand how these things related to them, because it was a matter of life or death most of the time. So the point being, blessings. So when you're blessing something, what does that mean? If you really want to mention oneness blessings, if you're interested in really getting involved in a group that is very active in giving blessings, oneness blessings are great. And there's a whole community of those people. So go check them out if you really want to go in, down that rabbit hole, in a good way. But talking about blessing here as a protection. And so when we're blessing our seeds, and also it's suggested to consecrate your tools for your garden, and really just spend some time with them, go through each one, take the inventory, and not so much, okay, here's this thing, here's this thing, here's this thing, okay, check, I'm good, but really appreciating, thank you so much, Spade, for what you do, for how you help me, extend my hands into the earth and have this relationship of planting my seeds and growing and feeding myself and my family. So this whole cycle of how you connect with the earth, what you're putting in it, when you're doing it, you know, so blessing that whole process. And so to me, I mentioned oneness blessings because it really helped me understand the blessing idea as kind of a coding of protection. So again, as I said, we're letting go of something or we're drawing something in, but so we need to do the work of clearing. Yeah. And we're always doing one or the other or both in some capacity. But when we're bringing something in, when it's not yet life, it's that potential of life, and we have these hopes and dreams and things, to bless it gives it that coding. So it's contained in a way in a sacred environment of good energy of what you're putting into it. And so that doesn't mean, okay, I bless you, seed. Okay, bye. My seeds are blessed. But it's, again, that relationship that you have with those seeds, and knowing that they're not all going to make it. So what do? We put a lot of seeds out of one thing. So anyway, that's a thought down the seed road. But blessing, so blessing as protection, so blessing for your house, or blessing for your safe travels, or blessing for your family and your hopes and dreams. So the things that you really want in your life that are not yet here. So it's pretty much where I'm landing. So Imbolc itself, the word means in the belly. And this time of year would have been, and is, when the calves start being born. Sheep and cattle, and especially in Ireland, that would have been a really big deal with our ancestors as well, and in any country in Europe like that. Having dairy at this time of year would have probably been really fantastic for those people who have probably been living off of dried meat and maybe grains and bread, if they were still good, if they still had some. So you're coming, close to the end of your stores maybe for the winter, depending on how your harvest went in the previous season. So you get some milk going, that's huge. So in Ireland in particular, there are many names and types of milk and dairy. There were something like 15 names for sour milk, cultured milk, fresh milk. Like they used it a lot. Milk and grains were huge staples at that time and place in the past. So in the e-course, I give you instructions for making yogurt, making cheese, and making butter. And I've done all of these. They're fun. I enjoy it. They're all pretty easy. They're pretty really simple things to do. So that's kind of fun. If you are looking for an Imbolc activity, something to do tomorrow maybe, or in the season as we go through the next 6 weeks, playing around with working with dairy, especially if you can get it local from your farmer friends. And St. Bridget, of course, I'm talking about the tools and the allies that I'm suggesting during Imbolc. So rattling is something we're going to be doing here in a moment. Frankincense and resins, evergreen trees. So there's kind of this overlap from, solstice still, since we're still in winter, literally. So we're kind of blending those things. Groundhogs, bears, runes, fire. St. John's wort is one of my favorites. It's something you have to be careful with working with. So do your research. Water wells. Do you guys know where wells are in your area? Have you found any, or maybe you have one in your yard? That would be cool. Well blessings are also part of this holiday. And stinging nettle, mullein. So in the e-course, I give you a little space to list your specific allies and the exercises that bring you joy at this time. And I have a couple suggestions there too. So blessing and prayer, poetry, reading, hiking if you can get out on a nice day. So I think tomorrow's going to be 60 degrees. So I hope that you have plans to go outside. Journey, of course, always journey work. So wells and making wishes and blessing the water like that. So another protection, another wish of good health for our water systems, and those wells being like a sacred portal into the earth, right? If you really think about it, there it is. It's connecting you to the fertility of life and that primordial connection to our sacral chakra, right? Especially with a woman's body having that water of life within you. So connecting to the Pachamama like that, when you're putting your coin in the well, putting your seed in the well and making that wish and that connection, you know, of your intention and that potential with the water of life and that coming through, right? Coming together like that. Talk about runes, the Elder Furthok, probably going to say that wrong, and just what that is. And if you want to make your own set of runes, it's kind of fun. If you have runes, I would say let's get those out. And St. Bridget, so that's a whole thing. She, Bride, Brigid, there's a lot of names that she's known by. I'm going to get some water. And there's a lot of stories there. So she was born pretty early, I think 120 AD. I can't remember exactly the number, but pretty close to that time. And she is a figure that existed as a goddess, as a person before Christianity came to Ireland. And just like all of this stuff existed before Christianity, and part of the Christian holiday at this time is Candlemas. So the lighting of candles is in the hope of the light in the dark time. And it's St. Bridget's Day. So some would say they co-opted Bridget and brought her in as a saint so that they could, you know, it would be easier for the people to join Christianity in that way. She is the patron saint or goddess of poetry, Ireland, all of these things, milkmaids, newborns, you know, all of the themes here. So she's, you know, a figure, an archetype that you can connect with, of course, if you're feeling called to work with a figure, like a person, an image. She's also considered both the Pachamama, so the earth itself, and the Virgin Mary, depending on, you know, which culture, which aspect you look into. So she's kind of a gateway into all of the divine feminine at this time. And again, that hope of the light in the dark, that kind of thing. And let's see what else is in there. My friend wrote a poem for us, and it's really nice. I'm really, really pleased with it. Imbolc is the name of it. And I'll read the first stanza to you. What is buried deep in winter's darkness? Seeds planted and forgotten, rooting around for that which feels hidden, secret, or lost. Shadow work. ... After many mornings absent, ... You have to get the e-course to get the rest of the poem. It's really beautiful. And she also guest wrote a piece in here to help us write our own poem for Imbolc. So there's some suggestions in there for prompting your own writing. And I really appreciate her doing that work for me, helping us with that. So we're going to move on. So there's a lot there. If anybody has questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. We've got about 15 minutes. So I want you to get some water. get a glass of water. And a rattle. If you have a rattle. If you don't have a rattle, it's okay. You can use your hands. And some construction paper. Channeling my inner grade school teacher today. I just really had this image of cutting out seeds for myself. And so I'm doing it with you so that I could literally write these things down on my seeds and just really see them. And I'm considering I'll probably be releasing them in a fire tomorrow. So I have some suggestions for that. Let me answer Laura's question. So Laura sent in a question before this talk, and she wanted to know if the St. Bridget's cross was related to basket weaving. I am going to say a no. So the St. Bridget's cross, there's a story there. There's a story about the groundhogs too. That's all also in the e-course, and I've talked a lot, so I think I'm gonna skip the story time so we can get to the exercises. But I want to show you a picture of St. Bridget's cross that we made last year. We haven't yet made them this year, so you get the idea. I'm sure you've seen the cross before. You might not know what it is. So that's a butter that we made and a St. Bridget's cross from last year. So made of rushes or straw. So the story, just to answer Laura's question, I have to tell the story. So St. Bridget, as you know, a Christian woman in the story, goes and visits with an ill man who some say was her father, pagan, from a pagan family, and was converted as into Christianity, and went and visited him on his deathbed and was asked to do so, and sitting with him for several nights and helping him feel better and talking to him and basically telling him about Christianity and how it can save your soul and all of that. And as she was talking, she would be picking up pieces of straw from the ground and weaving the cross. And so through this process of sharing about Christianity with this ill pagan man, she created this cross to illustrate the cross of Jesus. And basically the story goes that he by the end was asked to be converted as a Christian right before he passed away. So it's this hopeful Christian story is really what the cross is said to be about. But I personally take it as another way of protecting, again, blessing my home, my energy, the seeds that I want to plant for the next season. So again, this is another way that we can do the turning of the wheel, is creating some St. Bridget's crosses. They're kind of fun. Not going to get into that today, but there's a million tutorials out there on YouTube. That's how I learned. It's super simple. You just have to go get the proper length of rushes or grass or whatever you've got on hand. Honestly, it'll probably work. We tried to find straw and it was just like, okay, let's just use the grass that's growing down the street. So, and it worked out really well. So to me, it's more of a symbol of protection that I like to put up in my windows or on my door or on my altar, and just protection, like the black salt pendant from the solstice bundle was also a way to invoke protection or blessing from that time to this time. So those 6 weeks of dark, cold, you know, it can be a symbol, it can be literal, it's up to you, however you like to take it. But when I put this on, I feel that I'm more present, and therefore I'm going to be more protected, because I'm going to be paying attention to how I'm moving in space and that kind of thing. So when I put up those decorations, you know, just like Christmas decorations, we're putting up lights and we're creating this atmosphere. So it's up to you, you know, how far you want to take, you know, the symbolism into being literal So if you want to celebrate St. Bridget's Day as a Christian, weave some crosses. And if you want to celebrate it as non-Christian, weave some crosses anyway, because it's a nice meditative thing to do, to just spend that time creating something. If you're feeling that that is calling to you, doing something a little creative, to give you that space and time to consider what is it that you'd like to pull forward into your life in the next 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months. So thank you for listening. And thank you, Laura, for the question. So we're going to do a rattling exercise, and I hope that while I was talking, you cut out your seeds, your seed shapes. I'm thinking this looks kind of like corn, and this one, where is it? This one looks kind of like, I don't know. What are those? They're not sesame seeds. It's eluding me. Sunflower seeds. Ah. So you're going to get your water bottoms up. So drink as much as you can. Ready? Go. My teacher recommended that you drink a whole cup if you can. Yes, sunflower. All right, so as much water as you can. Stand. We're bringing this water in to cleanse us. All right, ready? All right, we're gonna take our rattle. If you don't have a rattle, you can just use your hands. So you can clap if that feels appropriate once I tell you what we're doing, or you can snap. So what we're doing, the point of this, is to break up stagnant energy anywhere that is ready to clear. So if you were feeling like there was some, dense stuff going on down in your low belly, that might be an area to focus on. Be gentle with your rattle. It doesn't have to be like a big warrior kind of thing, but if that is your way and you know that that's what you like, you absolutely go for it. I really need to be gentle with myself. This exercise is extremely powerful, and I've had some pretty alarming results, which at the time were not ideal for me, but really showed me how powerful this exercise is. So this is something you can do 1 time a day, 2 times a day, once every couple days, or once a week if you feel like it's a little too strong or too much to do. It's kind of like flossing. It's like you do it once or twice a day, or if you feel like you need to do it more. It's up to you. So we're going to take our rattle and just kind of move around the energy field in our bodies, or breaking up the energy with our hands. You can move between clapping and snapping. And with your intention, you're going to work on, we can kind of only reach the front, but we're going to also work on the back from the front. So just with your intention, connecting in to the front and the back and the sides. If your mobility is a little limited, just trust that intention. So I'm going to go for it. All right, get in there. So you might go all over everywhere and feel that, or you might be drawn to one particular area. So I'm feeling this shoulder right here in this heart area for myself. Really needs this. So while you're rattling, you might be thinking about those things, those grievances, those issues, those blocks, those fears, those anxieties, the things that were coming up for you. And when we did that meditation, continue. I'm going to keep going for about 1 more minute. If you need to stop sooner, listen to your intuition about that. All right. Whew. Do you feel some stuff? How'd that go for you? Man, I was feeling a lot of stuff right at the start. Now I'm feeling a little effervescent all over. I feel a little like, whew, some opening, some more space in my field. I can feel that. So the point of drinking that water is when you go to the bathroom now, all of that stuff that you broke up is going to go out with your water, okay? So whenever that time comes for you and you go to the bathroom, that's a sacred moment when you're letting those things go. Just kidding. Or not. It's up to you, again, how far you want to go with this stuff. But so next, we're going to finish up. We just got a couple minutes on the hour with our seeds. So whatever colors you want, and if you just have regular paper, whatever, it's fine. I kept seeing this experience and this process being 6 seeds. For some reason, I kept seeing 6 seeds. So that might be for me, that might be for all of us, but I made 6 seeds. And I'm gonna take my Sharpie and take a moment and write down some things that I would like more of in my life now that I've done some clearing work. So I did a little bit of journaling about that earlier, and that might be part of what you did as well. So that was the first one. That was a big one. I want more joy in my life. So take a moment, write in your seeds what you want, and you can draw them in your journal if you want to just draw 6 little seeds in there if you don't have the paper and the time to cut up these seeds. Here's one. Community. I love community. I always want more of that. And it can be a Maserati. If that's what you want, you can put that in there, but you also have to make the payments when it comes, right? Motivation, that's one I definitely want more of. I'm clearly motivated, but self-motivation to take care of the things that I set my intentions for at the beginning of the year. So that might also be something that you bring in and think about. Since it is February 1st, it's also time to do our January review. If you had some goals that you intended for the beginning of this year that kind of went meh, somewhere else, you might circle back around and bring those goals back in. So it's not necessarily an event, but it's a process, right? So you can reinvigorate those goals and those intentions. Yeah. So just checking back in with those things. So I have one of those for sure. I was pretty disappointed at how much I didn't do around my goal for the year in this month, but it's okay. It's good to look back, just not stare. And so if you want to share what you're writing about, what your seeds are, please write that in the text, the chat there. I'm going to think of one more. Amen. Aho. Hey, ya. All right, guys, it's 3:01. So I am going to take my seeds, and I was actually thinking about putting them on a string and hanging them over my altar for a little bit so I see them, but I'm also thinking about putting them in the fire that I'm going to be having tomorrow night. So if you have the opportunity to have a fire to celebrate Imbolc, I recommend it, and you can either put your seeds in there or put anything that you're ready to release, that you found out from this process or that you already know that you're ready to put into a fire to let that burn. So anything that's getting in the way of your seeds. And you don't have to know what those things are. You can use a stick, or you can use your breath and just kind of release those things into the fire. So I would start with releasing, clearing, just like we did here with the rattle exercise, and then go on to manifesting or asking. So after you clear, you can put your seeds in and feel each and every one of these. Like if you're going to put them in, hold them, feel what that would feel like. What would motivation feel like? And then place that in the fire. Or you can bury your seeds, of course. So I'm seeing these 6 things for all of us coming forward in the next 2 weeks, the next 6 weeks, and the next 6 months. So these are things, if you need to remember them, write them down in your journal so you can look back and remember what it was that you were asking for, so you can kind of revisit those intentions if you're going to release them. And I do recommend that you release them at some point, at least in the next 2 weeks, if not tomorrow. All right, guys. So thank you so much for spending an hour with me, or if you popped in and out, if you're watching this as a recording, thank you so much for honoring Imbolc with me. It was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot, and I feel like we're just hanging out in my living room. So I hope that you join me again. I'll probably be live for another thing here or there. I'm also teaching energy healing school right now online, and we just completed the root chakra and the sacral chakra. Everything's recorded, just like this webinar, so you can always catch up. We'll be doing the solar plexus, not next Friday, but the one after that. So there's plenty of time to catch up on the root and the sacral chakra, so you can join us for the solar plexus. All right, and that whole process goes through March, and it has built-in weeks for processing time. So there are times when, a couple weeks, 2 weeks in a row in general, when we don't meet up live, so you have time to do the work at your own pace. So there's e-courses for that, multimedia e-courses with journal prompts, audio prompts, audio talks about each chakra. There's an animal for each chakra, and there's an exercise similar to the rattling that we did today, and journey work. So I hope that you join me there, or I see you somewhere else soon. Please write me with questions, and thanks so much. You can find everything I'm doing at theflyingcat.net. I didn't even talk about the new moon on Monday that's happening in Aquarius, but that's also on theflyingcat.net/subscriptions. You can join the moon journaling for $1 a month. And if you join at the $5 level, you'll get the Imbolc e-course as part of that subscription. Or you can buy it for $21 as a download. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Julia Martin with theflyingcat.net. Find me everywhere. Namaste.